Hey there, Will and Phil here, and we're just answering a few questions again on our Facebook group. Beginner questions, really. Philip has a very difficult question. Not this
I have
Philip.
this question too, though.
There's a Philip in our community, and he asks, how do I get better? Joking aside, I think I need to go through the editing and retouching parts to make my images pop a bit more. Yeah, I think
this is a great question. I think it's a question every beginner photographer asks themselves, is just how to get better. I think what's really going on in people's heads is they're looking at Instagram, they're seeing these other photographers and saying, man, those photos look great. How come my photos don't look like that? How do I get to be on that kind of level? I think editing, retouching is something that can help make a photo look different, look more interesting, but I don't necessarily think that editing is going to make a bad photo look good, right? It's gonna, it can only help. It can only help so much. You need to really start with a good photo from the beginning. So obviously there's the things that I think everyone will say is, follow Instagrammers that you like, get inspiration, take your camera out with you wherever you go. You just never know. Just practice.
Practice.
This is, I think one main thing is to definitely remember your compositional rules, things like the rule of thirds, leading lines, framing within the frame, thinking about colors, all these things that I think at the basis, no matter what camera or gear you're using, following those kind of tips will make your photo stand out from like a non-photographer.
Yeah, and I think the practice is really the main thing, and that's practicing. Something that was really nice that I did, I remember in high school photography, and this is just being very rudimentary, is setting rules for yourself for like a week. So this week, let's work on negative space. And every photo you take, make sure it has negative space. And then once you feel like you've got that down, the next week, do something else. Every photo I take is going to be the rule of thirds. It's going to have leading lines, or it's going to, do that, and then start to combine all that stuff. But, it was nice when we had rolls of film, because you could just be like, these 24 photos are going to be this.
Stick to that.
I'm going to stick to that rule, and then I'm going to analyze it later, and then assess that later.
Yeah.
But you got to practice doing that, and I think eventually you'll start to see the development. I mean, you can't just be like, I want to get better at piano, and then do something and play piano. You have to practice it. It has to become repetitive. It has to become second nature. It's like any other art form.
I think, you're Philip's in our Photography and Friends group, but for anyone watching this who's in the group, we have our weekly photo adventures, and not that many people participate, but sometimes they're very specific. But if you use those as a prompt, like this week, take a photo of the sidewalk or of a shiny object, or take a photo of vegetables, or whatever it is that our prompts have been recently, you can use those as inspiration to practice. I mean, the last thing I'll say is, I think sometimes we're lazy as photographers, or sometimes we're just not in the right location or situation. Sometimes you do have to go somewhere where the environment is more beautiful to get a more beautiful photo. I live in suburbia outside Los Angeles, and I have shot my city photography-wise as much as I can, and for me, I'm sure other photographers can come in and shoot it in different ways, but for me, I'm kind of overshooting in San Dimas, California, and so sometimes it's okay, get out of San Dimas, let's go somewhere, or it's getting up at sunrise to see what the sunrise light looks like, or staying up till sun, or going out at sunset, and doing those things that we all know golden hour is going to make our photos look a little bit more interesting, but how many of us are actually waking up at sunrise to get those shots?
Yeah, making the effort and getting out there is a huge thing. And that isn't just having to do with photography. That's just a personal, okay, get up, put your clothes on, brush your teeth. Push yourself to get to that place where then you have access to take a great photo.
Yeah. So hopefully, Philip, that's some inspirational words. And to anyone else who's trying to get better at photography, I don't think there's like a set system where you can say, okay, do A, B, C, and your photos are going to look better. It's just a lot of practice and, yeah, just practice mostly.
Practice.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for the question. I hope that this video helped you out, whether you were the one asking this question or if you found this video and it was something that you were interested in. These are the kinds of questions and photography basics that we cover in our photography courses and in our community, Photography and Friends, which you have access to whenever you enroll in one of our courses. We also have a free resource that's available for all beginner photographers over at photographyandfriends.com, where you can learn all the basic skills and even advanced tips and tricks to help you become a better photographer. Thanks so much for watching and have a beautiful day.